Welcome to this video. Today I have a guest I was looking forward to very much. He's the current world champion in coffee roasting. Hello, Mikaël Portannier. Great to have you.
Hi Ingo, thank you for having me.
And in this session, we will be talking about sample roasting and then also on how you do sample roasting on the ROEST L100 Ultra that is standing behind you. But maybe to start with the topic, if you can just explain me what is sample roasting and why is it important in having a coffee roastery?
So sample roasting, there are a few different ways of sample roasting. Actually, there is the home roaster sample roasting, and there is the professional sample roasting. So for a home roaster usage, you basically need about let's say 40 grams of roasted coffee per day. That means if you roast 100 grams of green coffee, you have your consumption for 2 days. And you have the choice of roasting a few different 100 grams per day, or you can roast like 100 grams every day for your next 2 days or for the next month of your consumption. And then there is the professional way of sample roasting, where we have to assess the quality of the bean, and we have to keep consistency. And also, you can probably train people on about roasting with the sample roaster. So there are few different ways of professionalism sample roasters. First, I would say producing country are sample roasting first to assess the quality of their production. That means coffee is a fruit, then you dry the fruits, then you get the extraction, which are 2 beans per cherry. And then once you have a big amount, you can select here and there some green coffee to create one sample, which is called the offer sample. And this offer sample, you will probably distribute it for future customers, and you will have to assess the quality yourself. Meaning you have to roast this coffee, like a small quantity of this coffee, to assess the quality with the cupping. Once this quality is established, you can put a value inside on top of this quality. Meaning with the previous system, we had to rate and to grade this coffee with a scale of 100 points, saying this coffee is an 87.5 out of 100 points. This worth 12 euro per kilo. And this 12 euro per kilo is the value in front of the quality you were creating. Then, as a roaster, you will be receiving some samples, some offer samples, some pre-shipment samples, some arrival samples, some offer samples to create your own menu. So we are receiving to choose our coffee about like 10 or 15 different lots for each country we are targeting. So right now I'm into Colombian coffee, meaning like every day I'm receiving about like 10 different samples, then roasting with this machine, then straight away measuring with the ground colorimeter, also with the moisture meter to see the quality. And I'm also cupping all of those coffee to assess the quality. And once I receive as many samples as I can, I have to give feedback to the producers. And also I have to select the good coffee with the right amount to don't overbuy for the next few months. And I will create, which is called like a production sample to be the target for our production roast.
Yeah.
Meaning the sample roaster will help me to create the roast profile with our production roaster. So these are all the samples and the way we are using the sample roaster as a professional roaster on a daily basis.
When you look at the first parts that you said, so when you get samples from producers and you are going to evaluate these green coffee beans, how are you doing this process then on the roast? Are you using like the standard cupping profile? Do you have your own profile, or do you use different profiles, for example, according to where they come from origin or processing, or how do you approach then the beans?
So on this machine, I created my own profile based on the inlet temperature and on the counterflow mode. So that means the drum is not turning on the regular way; it turns around back, counterflow. And this means I can use a lower inlet temperature than the classic profile, and also that uses less energy than the classic profile. This roast is achieved in less than 6 minutes and around like 50 seconds to 1 minute of time after crack. That means it's a quite light roast, at around like 10 to 11.5 weight loss, depending of your moisture content or for the green coffee, uh, which is good for to assess the quality of the bean. Meaning, like, if you find some woody notes or if you find some defect on this type of roast, that doesn't come from the roast itself. It comes from the green coffee. So we can assess the quality and we can put a value in front of the value that the exporter is proposing us, and we can agree or not on this value to buy this coffee or not, depending of the cupping we get.
Yep. So you use then actually one cupping profile that you then use for all the beans so that you have an even comparison, and then you evaluate the beans accordingly.
Yes, and then if I want to create one production profile, I can put up to 200 grams to have more momentum, more inertia in the machine, and I can really play around the machine to see if the rate of rise is crashing at first crack, to see if this coffee with a high moisture content is roasting faster than another one, and I can really tweak the profile to get more accuracy and create the production profile.
And how do you do this process? Because you said on the sample roast, you're using a curve based on the inlet temperature with the counterflow mode that you have on the new one, on the L100 Ultra. And how do you then do the profile development on the roast? Because you're roasting then on the drum roaster, and somehow you need to get information that you can translate. So which reading are you looking at?
So reading I'm looking for is like no matter what drying time I'm achieving Maya time, so in between yellow point to first crack, development time, so in between first crack to the end, and all the deltas in between each phases. So in between Maya and first crack, like how many degrees of increase, and in between first crack to the end, how many degrees of increase too, uh, leading to a ground color measurement from the Lightels CM200. This is then my target profile. And if I can achieve with the production roster a 3 minutes Maya time and a 1 minute 15 development time with the same ground color measurement, uh, I would say 99% of the cup profile will be the same.
Yeah. Interesting. One thing that I am sometimes struggling a bit, because first crack and then going into development time is quite clear because you hear the cracks, they're getting regular. But then dividing Maillard, how do you do that so that you have a consistent reading? Are you then taking the dryer and looking at the color, or how do
So
you?
I once look at the dryer, and if you can see like the whole bean yellow from
Yeah.
the edges to the center, then you are at yellow point. But if you have some small spots of green that you look at the back or at the front of the bean, around the center of the bean, then it's not ready yet. It's a matter of 1 or 2 degrees. And then once you have established the yellow point of your roster, it will probably be the same every time. So let's say on this machine here, the yellow point is at 170 degrees. Like, I would say 9 coffees out of 10 will be yellowing at 170 degrees. On a big 30 kilo Giesen roaster on our production machine, the yellowing temperature is at 156, meaning that 9 coffee out of 10 will be yellowing at 155, 56, 57, which would be the threshold temperature to mark it yellow. Then this will start the Maillard phase, so from yellow point to the first crack. And in most of the roasters I know, the delta in between yellow point and first crack is about like 40 degrees. So if this machine is yellowing at 170, that means the first crack threshold would be around like 210 degrees.
Hmm. And on which reading are you then looking when you because you said that you look at the temperature degrees from Maillard and the development phase. Are you looking at the inlet temperature or which
Bean temperature.
bean temperature? So there's the bean temperature.
Yeah. Inlet temperature is a good information about how much energy should you put inside your drum to be roasting this coffee to this quality. Meaning like on most of the roaster, you don't have any reading of the inlet temperature because they are not air roasters. But you can have an idea about what is the power you need, your gas setting you need to achieve this reading and to achieve this roast curve based on your production sample profile.
Yeah. And now you have been working with many different sample roasters, sample roasting machines, and have seen different concepts. What is important for you when you look at the sample roaster, and then maybe also why did you at the end decide to work with the roast machine?
So time efficiency is one of the key when it's really your job to roast coffee. And with this machine, I achieved to roast 9 samples in 1 hour yesterday, for example, because you can roast down to 6 minutes, meaning you have the time in between each roast to start and to regulate the drum temperature. That means like every 6 or 7 minutes, you can start one more roast. And because this machine, you can cool down the previous batch when you are roasting the current one. It's super time efficient. Where other roasters like Ikawa or Link or Cafe Logic, the process is like 7 minutes long. Then it takes 3 more minutes to cool down the whole machine and the beans inside. That means you are kind of losing 3 minutes. And 3 minutes in 1 hour or in 1 day multiplied by the number of samples you have to roast is a lots of time that you're basically losing. So yeah, time efficiency, accuracy of reading, because the amount of data we are getting from the roast is super important to see like all the readings and all the settings we have to set down to keep the profile the same, and like the auto replication mode is super easy to use. You just like drop one batch, let it roast, and then you select all the end condition you want based on time, based on bean temperature, and the roaster it stops itself. It cools down the bean for 2 minutes, then you can drop the next batch into the drum and it starts again. It's super easy to use.
Yeah, okay. And what kind of information then, because you said the amount of information, what is the information that you personally are using then from the roast?
From the roast roaster. So the most important information I use with roast roaster is the bean temperature, the modulation chart, so the all the different phases and time, and also the good reading of the rate of rise. Meaning like if you roast a natural Ethiopia, the rate of rise will be pretty stable. But if you roast a super dense washed Kenya, for example, the rate of rise must be crashing at first crack. That means that when you are planning to do the production roast on your 30 or plus production roaster, you will have a bigger crash than any other coffee. And this rate of rise reading on the roast is super important and can predict a lot of things based for your production roast.
Yeah, okay, interesting. And you mentioned before, like the profiles you are working with on the roast. Is this something? Are you open to sharing your sample profile, like
Yeah,
showing
sure.
how it
You can
looks like, or is it even in the library?
Yeah, you can go on the Rust library and you can find out the profile directly.
Yeah. Okay.
I think there is a counterflow version and the classic version of the profile.
Yeah, perfect. So I will then put the link to your profiles down there in the description for people that are using it. Why are you then actually using the counterflow?
Counterflow is more efficient, so it uses 20% less power than the classic profile, and you can roast down to 6 minutes. Where with the classic flow profile, you're losing basically like 1 or 2 minutes on the drying phase. So you can roast faster. You can have more efficiency for the almost same result. Because if you roast faster, that means the shelf life of your bean will be quite shorter. Meaning, like if you were waiting for, like, let's say 3 weeks of degassing before with your classic mud roaster, you will have to wait a bit less for the coffee to be ready to be brewed, for example. But as soon as you are cupping straight after the roasting process, you can use whichever you prefer between counterflow and classic drum rotation.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. This may be the last question. So, because you just mentioned it's the time after the roast. So, what is your procedure? When are you going to cup then the coffee? So, you said, for example, yesterday you made a sample roasting session. Are you cupping then directly out of the machine, or are you waiting 1 day or 2 days?
So yeah, I roasted them yesterday all day long, basically. Like I spent 3 hours in front of the roast, and I was cupping this morning to assess the quality directly. But if I have the time, if I'm roasting in the morning, I can cup in the afternoon.
Yeah.
If I'm roasting in the afternoon, I'm cupping the next morning, basically. But I can wait until like 2 or 3 days. Then you have to let the bean degas a bit to be like more open and more easy to be brewed.
Yeah. So, it's getting a bit better after a couple of days.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks a lot for sharing. And if
Always.
people want to know more about you, because you're also a trainer, you're doing trainings in sensory skills, in green coffee, in roasting, and you have your own coffee roastery. Where can people find more information about you or follow you?
So mostly on Instagram with the Mikaël texture and parcel links, and also on the SCA website.
Oh, perfect. Thanks a lot. I will put all that information down there in the description. Also a link to the roast sample roaster, also to the light test that you're using, so that people can then deep dive into all of these devices. And now I can just say thank you very much. Congratulations again to your World Coffee Roasting Championship title. And thanks for everything you're doing for the coffee roasting world and sharing all this information. Merci beaucoup, Mikaël.
Thank you, Ingo.
I hope this video was helpful for you. If you want to know more about the ROEST sample roaster, then head over to our website, roasteries.com. You find the link here. We usually have the machine in stock, so we ship them then quickly all over Europe. And if you have any particular question on the machine or on sample roasting in general, then always come back to me. You find also my contact on our website, roasteries.com.